why banks need to have a blockchain strategy. So we heard a lot about, in the first block, education. I think it's difficult to explain the blockchain and digital assets in 2 blocks of 15 minutes. I think it goes so much deeper, but we would like to take the opportunity to give the banks also their view and what their strategy is, because so far they were not mentioned. We saw different other players, and now I would like to turn the spotlight on my beautiful speakers, which I would like to welcome. Jonathan Hayes from Julius Baer. He's the head of digital assets. Welcome. Milko Hensel from Merki Baumann, head of digital partnerships. Alfonso Gomez, CEO from BBVA. And Jan Brežek, the founder and CEO of Crypto Finance. Welcome. Have a seat. Microphone is working. Excellent. Very good. So we heard in the first block that it was really about, and the Melza outlined that blockchain is about unconfiscatable bearer assets. It's about tokenized securities or the securities market. And it's a bit about gaming. In the second block, we heard that the market capitalization, if you look at cryptocurrencies or digital assets, is very, very small compared to the whole market capitalization. There are already solutions in the market which are not from banks, but from other companies which are offering services like staking, as outlined just before. So what interests me is, why are banks looking at that? And for that, I would like to start with Jonathan. Could you describe how your bank is outlining their blockchain and digital asset strategy?
Thank you, yeah. I mean, the question is, what do we see in digital assets and what's the essence of it, right? And we heard about that a good deal already today. I can speak only for myself, but obviously there are discussions ongoing, so I'm sure that I represent more or less some of the views which are held. So I think digital assets may become a mainstream asset class in a couple of years already. We're not quite there yet. I think we're in the process of moving from niche to an adoption status. Beyond that, I mean, with all the tokenization or the promise tokenization holds, we think that the financial universe could get even bigger through tokenized assets such as real estate or other real-world assets. Finally, actually, what we just saw in the presentation on DeFi, if you really look at the ways transactions are done in DeFi, and maybe it's even a bit more in the future, we might see that also financial transactions between banks or between other parties could move towards such a blockchain-based settlement model.
Very interesting, thank you. Milko, how does that look like at Merki Baumann?
Well, when we started to look into this matter, this was in 2018, and at that time it was basically everything was about Bitcoin and ETH and ICO. And in the first moment we thought this is nothing for a small bank like us. And but we dived deeper into the jungle and said what is into for us, and we came to 2 conclusions. One is somebody has to connect the traditional business, traditional financial services with this new technology that is breathtakingly new, that has huge potential. We heard this already before. And but there was a huge gap between that, more or less a huge gap between Zurich and Zug. In Zug, there were the upcoming new companies, and they didn't have any chance to bank and to grow without any service provided by a traditional bank to give them just a corporate account. That was one thing. And the other thing is, we were very much convinced from the beginning that this will change financial services in the fundamentals. No matter if we believe if Bitcoin will last or not, in the end, we think that that securities will be based on the blockchain, that we will use central digital assets for payments, just because the better is the more modern technology is the enemy of the traditional technology, and therefore we believe that this will change the world.
Okay, very interesting. Alfonso, so what is your institution offering with regards to digital assets?
Well, we are, trying to take this new space. I would say, first of all, with lots of responsibility, right? It's not so easy, and BBVA is the first tier one in the Eurozone that is taking this new space as a bank, as incumbent bank. And the reason is quite simple. We have been describing what's going on with the blockchain technology, and we see how this technology has been growing and growing in the last few years. So it's pretty obvious that is too big to be ignored. And we are really focused on our customers, always. We are really customer-centric. And we don't think we can afford being traditional bank selling traditional products without this new space. And that's why we decided, as a team, to start with this new business, which is a huge responsibility, as I said at the beginning, because obviously this is not a question of Superman, right? It's a question of how you create the proper environment in the entire entity in order to understand where are the opportunities and where are the fears, and how we can manage both sides at the same time. So yes, today we are with, I think we have, obviously we are dealing in the Bitcoin space. That's pretty obvious that, it's almost 1 trillion, which is big. It's too big to ignore. And at the same time, we are in the Ethereum space. It's half a trillion, right? It's something like a 450 was the last quote. And the plan is moving forward step by step. I think in this particular timing is much more important direction than speed, but we are in the correct way. Yeah.
Excellent. So the adoption is growing with regard to digital assets, but what are the main drivers? I mean, Jan, you're coming also from the traditional world. You switched, how I say it. What's your view from your perspective?
I think there are 3 reasons why a bank is or should adopt a crypto offering. First one, it's clients. Clients are asking for it. They can now buy 21 share certificates. But if you really get into it as a bank and start to offering it, you push your employees, your relationship manager, that they really build up a know-how as well. If you just talk about, hey, we need to do internal education about crypto, most of them will be bored and say, no. But as soon as you go out and say, hey, we offer that to clients, client will approach relationship managers, and then they need to have an answer. Just answering that Bitcoin is only used for money laundering is so as of yesterday. So you better educate your staff. Second, business case. We heard it here already. It's not just by pure crypto that you, out of the revenues with crypto, but it's as well that you keep your clients' money. And I don't know, you did probably an assessment on how much money went to Bitstamp, Coinbase, etc. That's all money, and that's several hundred millions, which is gone. It's not under management anymore of the bank. Then the second is, if you have an offering, you appeal to the client that you're up to date, you understand trends, etc. You are fancy. Yeah, it's what I hear from clients as well, or from people at banks. Like, yeah, you know, my bank doesn't offer it. They're not state of the art. So it's quite an easy way how you could be up to date with the time. And with that, you not only keep the money in crypto, but as well other businesses. And you maybe increasing his share of wallet with the bank. And the third business case, or the third reason why I believe it's so important is with that, with the crypto offering, you build up the expertise and you start to operate on the blockchain. So instead of just running one proof of concept with tokenized shares or bonds or whatever, you have a real use case where you get a full bank-aligned risk, compliance, legal, operations, trading, etc., how this thing works in reality and not just on paper. And I think that's a massive difference. And so that's why I think with this business case of offering crypto, you make the step into the blockchain world and then you are ready as well for tokenized shares.
Very good. But do you see these, and that's a question for everybody, do you see that as a demand from the young and next generation, or is this something from the typical private banking client, which is a bit advanced in age?
That's a quite interesting question. Let me tell you, as an incumbent bank, right? Because it was one of the first questions that we put in place in our management committee. You know, as a BBVA, when you approach to a wealthy family, are you going to be able to talk about cryptos? Are you going to be able to hear about what's going on in this new space? And the answer is, of course, yes. Of course. In our point of view, all rich people, okay, 98% of rich people are clever people. Probably somebody, was, hit heritage, whatever, but people who are, clever, has money. And they are always looking forward to see new spaces and new forms to create value to the society. In our experience in the last year, we have had different conversations with different important families. All of them, without any exception, are really interested to know what's going on in this new space, particularly in the case of Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's pretty obvious that they are big enough. And there is not correlation with the age. Obviously, young people are digital, are in the digital era, but we have been speaking with people who are in the 60s, even in the 70s, and they really know exactly what's going on in the space. Some of them even are putting in place mining business. So I think it's not a question of age. It's a question of how much curiosity you have in order to know what's going on in the society. Very simple. There are many people that say, listen, just young people will deal with Bitcoins. That's a big mistake. That's a big mistake. You will be shocked if I give you, some signals of how interesting are people to see returns in the portfolios. And it's pretty obvious that interest rates are going to be in the lowest level for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We are in the highest levels of debt in the all over the world. I don't care if we're talking about Europe, so on, or the United States. And customers are looking for returns. So the answer is, of course, yes. They are happy and they are really looking forward to understand and to learn more. Education is key in this stage.
I saw everybody nodding. I guess we all agree on that. Or anything to add?
Well, one of the challenges is really to keep pace with the clients and their development. They are curious, as you said. They're very curious, and the universe is developing very fast. And even for banks that are willing to take part in be part of this development and follow through, educate its clients and be promoting this universe as well. things are moving so fast. It's difficult for us to keep a pace with this and to be stay on the same knowledge level as our clients. Out of a sudden, they came with NFTs. Out of a sudden, they came with do staking, and we had to move fast to get on the same quality level and to be able to provide advice on this. Do this, don't do that, or we advise to do this and that.
I agree, and many clients have made their choice already. So about having the crypto offering, it's not only to offer it newly to clients, but also, for some to catch up and to, maintain the ambition to speak with the clients at eye level.
Yeah. You mentioned the speed of this, and I call it usually digital revolution, although it's not a revolution. For me, it's more an evolution where we're heading. But and we heard also different kind of topics like custody of digital assets, trading, making sure there are liquidity pools, DeFi topics, NFTs were mentioned. It's difficult to prioritize. How are you doing that, or how are you assessing all these different topics, Jonathan?
It's a very valid question because you could make many choices. You could go for tokenization. You could go for a trading vertical. And actually, Jan, I like very much what you said about having a proper crypto offering takes the entire bank on the journey. Not everybody's so happy about it, but no, it's really a great challenge. So for us, for Julius Baer, we try to integrate digital asset in a wholesome way into our entire offering. I mean, we made the first steps now with advisory. We have launched research. We actually have 4 cryptocurrencies currently under coverage, also with an investment rating. We are launching the first advisory mandates now, which incorporate also crypto with financial instruments, and we plan to build it from there. So we will also go to the direction of wealth planning, potentially at a certain point also discretionary mandates. That's the key part we are prioritizing. Maybe just one other element which shouldn't be forgotten. Crypto is not only about investing in crypto, but it's also about realizing that many people already have made their wealth with crypto. And these people are seeking, for all the benefits of DeFi. At the end of the day, if you want to spend money, it's mostly easier in the financial system. So we have clients or prospects who have made a lot of wealth in crypto, which seek to bring that also into a banking environment. And obviously here are many very important questions about, verifying the source of wealth and being sure that one is confident of knowing the source of wealth.
Excellent. Where do you see the biggest challenges in implementing all these different use cases?
Yeah, probably the most important challenge is education. And I think we have to approach this critical topic with different stages. I think, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a question of responsibility from the financial institutions. I think as incumbent banks, we have been dealing, in the case of BBVA, 160 years, right, with traditional assets. And we have a reputation, we have a history, we have results, and we have something that is extremely important and relevant, and sometimes we miss in this new blockchain space, which is the most important asset that we have. You know what it is? Customers. We have thousands of customers. So when you have thousands of customers, and obviously you have to manage and you have to be focused on their needs, and you have the proof of work, if I can say that, during the entire history with very good results. You have to start from the scratch in this new space, putting in place education. But this something quite relevant and at the same time extremely difficult, as always. But the only way that you have to start with education is starting with the teams, with the employees, with the management committee. How you manage the compliance team, the risk team, the business team, the human resources, in order to see that everybody are exactly in the same page. Once you have your team looking in the same direction, you have to start educating your customers. This is the most important challenge that we have. And I don't think it's just responsibility of the financial sector. I think it's responsibility of the universities, and I think a responsibility of the schools. I think it's responsibility all the important players that are having important activity in the markets.
Couldn't agree more. Milko, can you agree with these challenges? Did you experience them as well when you introduced digital assets?
That's true. That's true. In the very beginning, we also had the challenge how to to get everybody on the same page and agree on the strategy that the EXP and the BOD decided on. And luckily, we have a team of people that are open-minded, that are willing to learn, willing to grow, and therefore it was easier maybe than for other institutions to win over these our colleagues. But at the same time, we also saw that there is a limitation for us to change everything by our own. I mean, apart from Merki Baumann and the 2 or 3 other banks in Switzerland, nobody's as outspoken on this topic as we are, and therefore we try to advocate this in the possible ways that we do with our capabilities. But still, it's a lot to learn, and especially when it comes to the institutional sides, they don't have the chance to test and try out things. Usually, they have to decide and then move into this space or stay on the sideline and wait until they think that the time is right to invest. And this is one of the things that we see as a challenge to not win over the individual client. I think our relationship managers are good to explain things, to also go back to, if they don't understand everything, to go back to the specialists and say, explain to me and or the client directly what is staking. But on the other side, with institutionals, it's more formalized, it's way more driven through committees, etc., and that makes things more difficult because learning, you can't teach a committee, you have to teach the individuals.
Very good. I mean, your 3 institutions are doing a great job in regards to digital assets, my personal view. There are also many others, but there are also many which are not into digital assets and are very skeptical. We had also in the first panel one question asking how the observation is at the sea level. So Jan, from your perspective, how do you perceive that? Do you see a change within the last 3 to 4 years with the banks here in Switzerland or also internationally? Is the culture changing? Are we more open to digital assets, or is that still a lot of skepticism, especially now with the order from Mr. Biden, with the topic of sanctions and circumvention by sanctions through cryptocurrencies? Is that helpful, or where are we moving here?
So I think it's a little bit a mix of a lot of different aspects. First, probably it's a generational change in the management levels, that new people come in which are maybe younger than others and more open to the topic. With younger, I mean maybe 50 and not 70. Then what you said, right, in Switzerland we have, or what you did actually, in Switzerland, we have a very clear regulatory standpoint, so we can be very thankful to FINMA for that. And we have several banks who have done it. Others see now, okay, hey, they have implemented it, it works, they get positive feedback from clients or in the news, etc., which is another reason why then others decide on, okay, then we could do it as well. And that's why now international companies are relocating or start launching their offering in Switzerland. International banks are launching their offering in Switzerland, like BBVA and others. And I don't think that Ukraine conflict, the war, but as well Biden. I think Biden, by the way, was rather more clarifying, right? People were afraid at the beginning that, oh, now he prohibits people from buying crypto. But now it was much more positive. I had a meeting with the US ambassador in Switzerland yesterday, and he said that, it's up to it's not the regulator who decides what you could do, but the industry itself should create like self-regulating standards, and then they can put into law. And I think that's a very good approach. So it's different than in Switzerland. We were always asking for the regulator, can you tell us if we can do that? In the US, you rather do, and then you ask maybe for forgiveness. But over time, it's changing law, which I think is quite a good sign as well.
Worked great for Coinbase, no?
Yeah, Coinbase obviously was a big change in mindset as well. How can a crypto company valued so high, right?
Definitely. Let's look at the future in the last couple of minutes. I know, Jan, you have your brokerage company, asset management. A bank is missing. What kind of projects are you planning for the future?
So we don't want to become a bank because our main purpose is to serve banks. We want to enable banks that they can get into this space because it requires so much experience and the systems and the people and the processes to offer that to the clients that if a bank tries to do it themselves, it will take them very long. And it's not a main component, right? So that's what we really do. And we are on the brokerage side, a FINMA-regulated broker-dealer. So we are a security house in Switzerland. We do everything, or we're equally regulated as a bank. We just don't do the credit business, because if a client has cryptos and he wants to get a loan against it, that's the main business of a bank. So that's really, I don't want to compete with the banks, with our clients. Besides that, right now, as some of you maybe have heard, we sold the majority of the company to the Deutsche Börse Group. With that comes a lot of integration work. We have to get up to the standards in terms of information security, compliance, regulations, etc. Of a Deutsche Börse Group. But as well, a lot of projects currently in the pipeline where clients of Deutsche Börse Group entities like Clearstream, Eurex, etc., and so on our 360T are asking those companies, hey, we heard you got into crypto, can you get us an introduction of what are you aiming to do, so we don't need to build everything ourselves. So the pipeline is pretty full, and we hope that we can keep up with the expectations to deliver on those.
Excellent. Milko, what are you thinking about as digital partnerships lead? What kind of digital partnerships are you looking at?
I mean, a part of the DNA of our bank is really to partner with other companies, because this is the only chance for us to provide excellent service to our clients. And so we were definitely looking into opportunities that provide staking. So this is one thing that we want to push ahead in the coming months, so we can provide a similar service to our clients as they can expect from a crypto exchange in a regulated way. And as Katrina outlined in her presentation, it is a difficult thing. It is not easy to understand. I mean, for me as a private person, if I click on Kraken and say, okay, I stake now some Aave, that's fine. But if I, as an advisor, try to do this, dear client, you can earn 15% per year if you stake Aave. But then, how do I explain him the disclaimer and all the pitfalls that come along with the staking? This will be the difficult thing for us to develop. Still, the technical part is far easier.
Very good. Jonathan, which cases do you think are interesting for your bank?
I can echo Achim's points on staking and DeFi. I mean, they're obviously very interesting from an economic perspective, also because we would make crypto attractive also to a group of clients who are more income interested and who perhaps didn't really like speculative fashion, maybe of just looking at prices of Bitcoin every day. Maybe just to throw in one more buzzword, nobody did so far. So, I mean, obviously on the longer roadmap, also custody of non-fungible tokens, NFT, is a topic. I mean, we see really a boom in digital collectibles and digital art. If you think about, you have an NFT collection worth several millions and manage that from the browser extension, I don't think that's so smart. I don't think anybody who has that wants to chisel a seed freight into titanium plates either. So we think that's a case for the custody of a bank.
Yeah, definitely. Alfonso, where do you see BBVA playing a role in the digital asset space in the future?
We are starting in Switzerland, as Jan mentioned at the beginning, because obviously there are three main reasons, right? The first one is the regulator, who is quite proactive, and they define in a very solid way what is the framework. The second one is the ecosystem, as Jan mentioned, is completely crucial. And the third one is that the BBVA is here in Switzerland. We are 125 people, so it's quite an agile bank, right? In order to develop the different projects. So we are in the learning curve. We are looking forward to put in place with excellent criteria different projects in blockchain. Not too many, but we are really looking forward to seeing small projects working perfectly. And yes, we see BBVA Group dealing in this new space in the next few years, taking DeFi, taking staking, taking structured products, all the different initiatives that are in the blockchain technology, without any doubt. We have the determination from our chairman or our CEO, the group, and we will go for it. Yeah.
So you see there are a lot of valid use cases for banks to be in this business. And it's not just a FOMO thing, which was a bit at the beginning. You want to enter now before everybody else is entering. I see this topic, and thank you very much for confirming that, is Satoshi's idea was, yes, to have a peer-to-peer network, getting rid of the intermediaries. I believe we're exactly in a situation where we see that intermediaries are needed because it's a question of security. Do I want to manage myself, my USB, where I have my collectibles, or do I want to give it to Jonathan, Alfonso, or Milkos Bank, where I can sleep well? And these are really the reasons, and thank you very much for sharing your use cases and your experience. And we're on a nice journey, and I'm looking forward to continue this journey and make Switzerland an even bigger crypto valley in the financial services industry. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.